This is how I currently read books. I go to this website with AI summaries of books. It's called 15minutes.ai. At first, when I tried it, I was very skeptical because it was giving me annoying pop-ups to subscribe, and it just seemed very pointless because couldn't I take the text of a book and then put it into AI? That is actually what I'm doing here. So what this website provides is that it gives you a summary of all the books, which are probably AI generated, but I have gone through the actual text and the summaries are not too bad. I'm not actually reading them, but I am listening to them. So what I do is I click this listen button, and when I'm playing this, it reads directly from this E-Myth Revisited plot summary. It's a bit like saving an article to Readwise and getting it to read text to speech for you. People underestimate how important it is to have the audio of the content playing as you're trying to read it. It really helps to ground you in what the book is saying. So my first screen is showing me this summary, and I don't actually look at the summary screen because I have it playing. Instead, I will copy this entire stretch of summary, right? And then I will take this and I'll put it into Google AI Studio, which is free. I will give it system instructions. So I have a few different forms, but I like to just tell it to make it more readable for a casual reader because my attention span has been suffering. And it's not just that I'm not reading the book, but I'm not even capable of reading such a long, drawn-out summary. Instead, I paste it all here, and once I get it to run, you can see this is the TLDR summary, and I like how it gives me the big idea, and it goes by the chapters because this is by the chapters. But it gives me emojis, which are really good for visual signposting. It gives me the 3 different summaries of each point. And this is where I start to put in the effort. So if you look here, there is a very succinct summary and it doesn't really give you the full story. So as I'm listening to this and having this on a side screen, I also have my own write-up of this book. So I first talk about why I'm reading this book because it helps to motivate me to actually finish listening to the summary. Like, I have 0 attention span, and that is probably correct. My attention span has actually got a lot worse after my PhD, possibly because there's so much short form content nowadays. But yeah, so I have a motivating section, and these quotes came directly from the introduction of the E-Myth Revisited. Like this site, I listened and I found the things that appealed to me that made me want to read this book. Then I added it here. Like, why is this book relevant to me? Then I have what I think the chapters are saying. I'm not using the exact chapter headings that you can see over here. This one's escaping the owner's trap, but I don't really like these kind of clickbaity headings that make me go, okay, what's the owner's trap? I must read to find out. Instead, I'm going for how I would think of it in terms of a Zettelkasten permanent statement. So in this case, I didn't really put in the story because it was kind of already in here, right? Like I did copy this paragraph, but I synthesized in terms of what I think is an important point from this book. And here we kind of need to talk about taking notes because I am a big proponent of not summarizing notes, because it's not really what I want to be doing with my time. I've spent too much of my life transcribing lectures because I didn't realize that that was very dumb. you don't want to just type out exactly what the audiobook is saying word for word. And so I want to have two different levels of content coming in. I have the audio part, which is slowly reading the text to me so that I get the context. I have the summary, which is so succinct that I might not understand without the context that the audio is giving me. And then I have my own notes, which are basically summaries of the content, but I am transforming it because I'm not just taking the summary that we're getting from either sides. I do copy and paste because it is less effort than typing it out. You're supposed to put things in your own words so you get them, but I'm just trying to get through the consumption part of the notes. And nowadays, I don't really process notes the same way. And so I don't really think of this as a summary. I think of it as a way for me to digest the information and make sure that I'm paying attention to what I'm listening and reading. Because if I get bored, if I switch away to another screen, I'm not going to end up finishing this book at all. This is just how I cope with my declining attention span. This is how I stay focused in the present moment of consuming information. And then the second stage of me taking in information is actually a lot more weird. I will just not process the notes in the moment. Once I have the summary, I leave it alone and I go to write fiction. So that's what I spent most of my days doing. I just type away at whatever story feels correct. It might be set in ancient China, it might be set in a fantasy Stone Age setting. I'm not really focused on how to apply the information that I got, but it often just appears in my story. The various principles of the book will sort of be reflected and implemented in how my characters behave. And I like to think of this as a more organic way to actually explore the concepts that we read about, to internalize and to implement. If you think of fiction writing as a two-stage cycle of just externalizing your subconscious thoughts, and then the second stage is problem solving, where you're trying to get the character towards the scene that you picture, towards a state that you want this character to be in. Because of how you're cycling through the story stages of trying to add in ideas that you like and trying to figure out how they fit into your world and the knock-on side effects of these systems, you do build a better understanding of what the system would be like. You understand the flaws of the system, you think of the ways it could go wrong, and I'm just internalizing in a more creative way that suits me more. Some people would take whatever they've read and implement it in their real world, their real lives. I am just interested in kind of obsessive novel writing right now, so this is how I internalize information. So about the AI summary website, you don't need it. I did get an invitation to try it out for 30 days, and at first, I didn't really try it out for a week. I do like this workflow. I feel like you could also just take the contents of an Epub, turn it to text, and then send it into AI for processing by chapters, which should really help you get a good summary. And then you can even get the workflow to give you a bigger summary. And you can also do text to speech of the various summaries if you're technically inclined. This just makes it a lot more convenient, and it also gives me a catalog of books that are already somehow in the system. I'm assuming that they licensed the book in order to get these summaries.